It's another time with Tutor Ayo, the Entrepreneurship Eco, and today we're going to be taking the course ACC203, and it happens to be a final class on the familiarization. And basically, the class might not really be a long one, alright, because it's just some wonderful things we need to identify with. I would call it a wrap. And in our next class, we're taking it with Nigerian people and culture, that is GST. With this being said, let's start with it. But just before we go straight into it, for as many of us who are not aware of that was a thing from network. I think we are a bit stable now. So as I was saying, right, I said today's class happens to be the last class we are having on ACC203, which has to do with the familiarization stage. The next time we're having this class will be on Telegram with members, all right, with strictly members of the private class, all right. So if you are here to reach out to me now, and so I can add you up for the private class. With this being said, let's hop straight into it. Okay, so we have ACC203, and we're going to be talking about good evening, Neil. It's good to see you again. It's good to have you on board, Miss Daniel. Miss Peace, you're welcome. Now, the very first, now we'll be talking about components of financial positions. Okay? Of financial, okay, position. So starting with, we have assets. I remember vividly, I give out assignments, all right, in one of our classes that we should go and make our research and gather some information about what assets is and liability and what types of assets and liability we have. But now we have it under component of financial position. So the first thing we have under this component is what we call assets. So when we say assets, what are we talking about? Okay, assets are, now when we say asset, we are simply talking about valuables, all right, valuable properties, claims, or possession. Valuable properties, claims, or possession belonging to a business, all right, valuable, all right, claims, possessions, all right, and properties, all right, belonging to a business. Okay, assets is said to be valuables, claims, possessions. You can see it as properties as well. Okay, and that belongs to a business, an organization, or company. All right, now assets are normally arranged, all right, in order of liquidity in the statement of financial position. Now what I'm simply talking about is order of liquidity. We are simply talking about order of revenue at the organization disposal. All right, but basically, Miss Florence, good evening. But basically, what you need to understand about assets is that it could be valuable, all right. I think it should be all properties, not and, or it could be valuables, it could be claims, it could be possessions, it could be properties that belongs to a business, an organization, or a company. Okay, so we have that as that. Now, perhaps it might interest you to know that there are different types of assets. All right, there are different types of assets, and we have types. Okay, now let's consider types of assets. We have the non-current assets. Okay, we have the current assets. We have the tangible assets. Non-current assets, tangible, all right, assets. Okay, we have the intangible assets, not tangible. Okay, we have intangible. All right. Also, we have the material. We have the current assets, intangible assets. We have the fictitious. All right. We have the current assets. Okay, and we also have the fictitious assets. Now, when we say current, non-current assets, these are tangible assets, okay, that are expected to be used. All right, these are tangible assets that has what we call short, all right, short lifespan. All right, non-current asset has what we call long lifespan. All right, lasts for years. All right, it is the current asset that has the short lifespan, okay, and it lasts, all right, usually, all right, it lasts, all right, usually within a year. Within a year. Now, any valuable possession that an organization owns and it can last for years, all right, that can last for years is what we call non-current. Now, a good example, please, who can give me a good example? Who can give us a good example of asset that an organization can own and use for years? All right, let me be sure we are following. What example could that be? Just one example I demand from the class. Okay. A very good example of what we call non-current assets. Okay. Yes, wonderful. Yes. Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Jackson. Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Alayo Yomi. All right, Alayos Yomi. Thank you very much. Miss Florence, are you still with us? Miss Peace. Soluwashi, yes, machinery. Wonderful. These are very good examples of, all right, non-current assets. Furnitures, fittings, buildings, all right, non-current asset, furnitures, fittings, buildings, vehicle, all right. All these are very good examples. Now we have the intangible assets. Okay, these are assets that add value to organization, but they cannot be seen by their nature. All right. So if we have intangible, we should also have tangible assets. All right, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, so as we have that, intangible assets are assets, just a moment. Okay, so now, yes, Miss Susan says machinery. Yes, thank you very much. Are we together? So now, let me rearrange this. Let me rearrange this properly. Let me rearrange this. Let me put this here. Now, we have non-current. So we have current. Okay? Short life span. Alright? Less than or a less than or a year. Okay, so we have tangible and intangible assets. All right. So let's take just something down on that. Although in the material it's not there. So we have physical substance, all right, slash let me just abbreviate, non-physical substance. Now let's explain. At least I'm sure we've been able to, all right, say something about the non-current asset, and we all understand that. Okay, so on the other hand, we have the current asset that is shorter in lifespan, all right, has a short lifespan compared to non-current assets. This class of assets are those valuables, all right, that all those whose values fluctuate within the year depending on the level of business activities, right? These are valuables and assets that actually is used within an accounting year. All right, we have debtors, we have stocks. Okay, for this we have cash in hand. All right, cash in hand, we have bank balance. All right, we have prepayments. Okay, Miss Florence is just responding. Miss Susan, good evening. Okay, so we have okay, for current assets, the likes of debtor, stock, bank balance, cash in hand, and prepayments. So like I said, tangible and intangible assets. Tangible assets are valuables that have physical substance, all right, while intangible assets are valuables that has no physical substance. All right, so when we speak of tangible assets, what are the examples? Okay, all right, basically, now let me even throw this to the class. When we say assets are valuables, possession, so we now say tangible assets. Let's give me examples of tangible assets. All right, examples of tangible assets, an example of intangible assets. All right, I'm trying to play a mind game because we have actually mentioned it earlier, so I'm trying to play a mind game here. When I say tangible asset, give me examples. What to say intangible, give me examples. Okay, I'll be giving us 10 seconds. Are we there? Okay, thank you, Miss Alayos Yomi. Thank you for that. Let's more suggestions come in. Okay. When we say tangible assets, okay, we all agree that we all agree that they are possessions that has a physical substance, something you can see and touch. Okay. So, what are the examples of those assets? We already say assets are valuable claims, possessions, and properties owned by an organization. So, what are the examples of tangible? When we say tangible and have physical substance, physical assets that has the characteristics of a physical substance. So, what are we talking about? All right. Ms. Alayo said money. Is money an asset? Well, money is actually an asset. All right, but it's actually categorized. All right. Is it, when you say money, what kind of asset is money? All right. These are assets, like they are current assets. All right, because you use them from time to time. You can use them up, like cash at bank, cash at hand. All right, bank balance. Okay. Somebody said capital. Please, Mr. Emmanuel, can you specify, is capital an example of tangible assets or intangible asset? Property, Ms. Alayo, can you specify property tangible or intangible asset? Look at the way Mr. Jackson arranged it. That's how it's supposed to be. Let's arrange. Let's make. We are in 200 level now. Very soon we are getting to 300 level. Let's be administrators. Let's behave like administrators. Let's arrange our answers correctly. Okay. I'm giving us 3 seconds now. 3 seconds is remaining. Okay. So now for the intangible assets. Yes, thank you, Mr. Riggs. Thank you very much. You have spoken well. So I have for the tangible assets, we have, yes, properties can be physical and can also not be physical. So you can actually specify, let's say vehicle, all right, vehicles, all right, machinery, all right, yes, plants. Okay. And nobody has said anything about intangible. What's going on? Okay. Miss Florence, Miss Susan, Miss Sheyi, are we still there? Miss Peace, are we still there? Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Thank you very much for that, Mr. Jackson. Yes, thank you very much for that. Look at the examples you gave us. Very well. Why are you not responsive, ma? Please be responsive. You have to get it right. Say something. Okay? Yes. We have patents. Alright? Patents also there. Patent rights. Right to your own arts or creativity. Patent. We have copyrights. Alright? Yes. These are assets. But they don't have physical, what we call physical substance. Alright? Anybody that use your work without getting an approval or go ahead from you, that person can be sued and arrested for copyright. That thing happens a lot on YouTube. You know, when I started this my YouTube channel, very, very, very new, like recently when I started it, if you go and check our maybe 1 year video or 9-8 month video, you see that I usually use background music, songs I like or songs I find inspiring. Background of the videos. YouTube today is suing me. Right? YouTube is suing me for using copyrighted songs, meaning that some of those videos has been brought down. some of those videos you cannot see them again because YouTube has brought them down, because it's showing that I have somebody's work there and I have not confirmed taking his permission to use his work. So that's that person's property now. And look at it, maybe it's even somewhere in Kenya, I'm here in Nigeria, and YouTube is fighting me for copyright, right? So copyright is also an asset, but it does not have a physical substance. Okay, thank you for that, Miss Florence. Welcome back. I thought you were away, but I can see you are back now. Yes, thank you. Yes, wonderful. So we have trademark. All these things are very, very important. All right. So we have trademark, copyright. We also have goodwill, like in partnership. Right. There's one of the partners that is not really active and is not like a member, but it allows his name to be used as a goodwill. Right. You know, just like we are going to a place now to submit proposal, and that person is seeing former President Olusegun Obasanjo as a member of the company. There's something called fictitious. All right, let me just take one more. All right, fictitious assets. Okay, now this is the type of asset that is seen as expenditure incurred. All right, expenditure. Okay, Mr. Luashe said network. Sorry about that. Okay, fictitious assets are assets, all right, they are seen as deferred revenue expenditure. Okay, deferred revenue expenditure. Okay, now listen, these are expenditure incurred to cover a long term, all right, a long time off, or deferred pending the time it is written off against the profits. Now, this is type of asset that is seen as deferred revenue expenditure. When we say deferred revenue expenditure, now deferred simply means when you push something forward, all right, when something is being adjusted, elongated forward, all right, deferred revenue. Now this revenue for an expenditure, all right, is usually deferred, meaning that it is not real or it is imaginary. Okay, now these are expenses incurred to cover a long time, all right, deferred payment, all right, a long time deferred payment. That's what we'll talk about fictitious. Now, example of this is what we call research, and definitely an organization will always need to do research and get better. So this kind of plan an organization will have in advance, they will always ensure that, okay, an expenditure will be made available for this particular arrangement. All right, so we have definitely an there will always be discounts. There will be a point whereby an organization wants to give discounts on shares. All right, there will be a point, they'll get to a point whereby organization will want to experiment, all right, and research. Okay, so we have that as that. So very quickly, I want us to quickly touch on what is called bad debts. Okay, I want us to touch on bad debt before we call it a wrap for today. Miss Blessing. Oh, I'm so sorry. The network has been a problem. It's a general thing, my sister. So sorry about that. There is no problem. Anything you miss, you can always rewind it. Just tap on your screen. That red moving line, you can take it back. So you can go through it from the beginning. Sorry about that. You know, in this country, it is one thing that you have money to buy data. Another thing that the data serves you when you need it. All right. So we are just hoping that in this country, our network provider, our service provider, will get better. All right. You have to work for money to buy data, and when you eventually buy the data, there are times whereby the data will not serve you. Now look as if you don't even have data. So now we have something called bad debts. Everybody know what the meaning of debt is. All right. Either you are owing somebody or somebody is owing you. Now, but there's a debt called bad debts. There's a debt called bad debts. All right. So bad debt is just an opposite of good debts. Good debts are debts whereby the possibility of seeing your money to collect or the possibility of getting your money back is high. All right. But when it comes to bad debts, all right, there are debts that have gone bad. There are debts that have gone bad. And there are no chances of debt being recovered. All right? No chances at all. Of debt being recovered. There are no chances at all of debt being recovered. And bad debt could be as a result of debt of the debtor. All right, whether bankruptcy of a debtor, whether mental illness. A lot of things can happen to the debtor that I will not be able to pay back. Okay, that's that on bad debt. So we also have something called control accounts. Okay, when we say control account, it's a summary of customer or supplier ledger in total. A summary of customer or supplier, customers or supplier ledger all right, summary of customer or suppliers ledger in total. Okay, so we have that as that. So finally, there's something also called reserves. All right, as the name says, reserves. Okay, now these are amounts set aside, all right, out of profit earned by a company and constitute part of shareholders' funds. All right, amount set aside. All right, amount set aside out of profit amount set aside out of profits, okay, profits earned by a company, by a company, all right, and it constitutes part of shareholder fund, okay, and constitutes, all right, part of shareholders funds, okay. So thank you very much, everyone. This on this note, we're calling it a wrap for tonight. So our next class will be taking GST, okay, and the next time we are coming back to this course, all right, 2 times, the last 2 times. First will be on Telegram, all right, one-on-one interaction on Telegram. We'll do this course, all right, and that is strictly for only members. And the next time we are coming to do this course, okay, we'll be doing the calculation, let me not say calculation, the posting part of the course, all right, and that will be towards revision time. We're doing the posting and taking some questions. And by the special grace of God, as I said earlier, this semester we'll be making available exam practice questions, all right, to be made available to all members of the private class. And for those of us who are here to keep our notes up to date, please go to the website on class updates. All the links, volume 1, volume 2, volume 3 to volume 13 is there, always there. All the links of the classes we've had since we have been having since January is on the class updates, all right. It's just that a lot of classes are there, so you can get confused, but if you know what you are doing, you should not get confused. But nevertheless, we are still arranging them, each courses for each department, all right. So thank you very much, everyone. I believe you have been able to gain a thing or two in today's class. Please let's do all to keep our notes up to date and submit them to the private class. Next time we are meeting will be, all right, taking the course GST, all right, and we'll be talking about Nigerian people and culture. Do have a wonderful night rest. I look forward to see you all in subsequent. Good night.